discuss on your show. Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me. If that's true and that 6% is there, the other we know this from techie stuff in terms of how things are adopted across social spectra, because they analyze this kind of stuff. How will the computer penetrate various markets, etc. Following those same kind of logics, we know that 6% represents, if you will, the early adopters. And then ultimately there's this chasm that you come to, and it's called crossing the chasm. And that's when you make a success at a technical product, because it goes mainstream. We know from our linguistics that the emotions that powered that 6% into active revolution in the fall have already spread across that chasm to the mainstream. Only the mainstream populace is unable to articulate the emotional state that they find themselves in, and that's why we keep coming back to the idea of sheer reality and cognitive dissonance. Make sense?
It does.
Okay, so when the revolution goes active, that's yet another undeniability kind of thing going on.
And there just seems to be more and more and more and more of that coming forward.
Correct.
Well, our eyes will be opened whether we want them to or not, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So now's a good time to, get strong to go long, as we say.
Right.
Basically, harden your heart or your perception as to how things are, and be sure of the facts that you're willing to take action upon, because we're looking at a situation that will be chaotic beyond most people's understanding. There will be a whole lot of people that will be caught up in the political process and will say we can cure our ills by curing this political process, and if only we had an active third party in the U.S., or if only we had an active 43rd party in France. So the political process will cure it, and in fact that's not the case. It's just yet more thrashing around in the froth of it all. And unfortunately for the situation as a whole, there's going to be actually some level of education as we go through in fall relative to what's occurring between October 26th and November. And that is also going to be coming out more simply because the powers that be have lost this press arm. According to our data, it fades significantly in late summer. And so, again, compounding everything.
All right. And what else in that particular, the powers that be segment, would you like to wrap up with that, or did you want to move to the next one?
Might as well go to the next one. Basically, it's just more of the same with these guys. They have an attitude of they must protect their power base, power is all for them, etc. These are the people that reputed, or I've actually spoken with members of government at a federal level, that is to say denizens of the inside the Beltway in D.C., former civil servants and appointed official guys that were, rather candid. They have seen and know that the free energy stuff exists. And those kind of devices, if you will, the extraterrestrial, etc., that we've reverse engineered and the whole thing, are indicated in our stuff. It's coming out as part of the whistleblower set. And that, again, is part of the whole consternation causing problems for the powers that be. Because they don't want us all sovereign with our own little, universal go buggies, because we'll just go.
That's true, we will. And then, where's the control?
Sure, who's going to bring them their tea?
Right,
yeah.
right. Where's their slaves? Where's their minions?
Right.
And their way of life is non-existent, and they can't imagine life any other way.
Correct.
So they create what they imagine.
Well, here's something that's just staggering. The Queen of England claims that she owns 1/6 of all the landmass and everything on it on the planet.
Huh.
Now, that's an awful big claim for such a short, poorly dressed woman.
Yeah.
But basically it's that, the divine right of rulers and all of that kind of stuff is taking yet another big hit over the course of summer and as we go into the revolution. The revolution stuff that we see eventually does, in late October, shift from being any kind of a local political phenomenon to much more of a greater planetary phenomenon.
Right. And that's what this is about. It's not just about the United States. It's about all of it.
Yeah, it will be actually rather late to the party, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you have some conclusions here, and then as you're going through your conclusions, a question that has been asked is what people can expect, like over the next 18 months, maybe some key dates, key events, it says spoilers of all kinds. So as you wrap up the Alta Report number 6 for the 1309 series, if maybe you can keep in step further and just like over the next 18 months some highlights.
Sure, we can do it in sort of large jumps or steps here.
Cool.
There's going to be a shift in emotional ability to prop up the idea that happiness is just around the corner, beginning in May 14th. It'll take another big, the confidence factor will take another big hit between July 15th and August 15th. That'll be especially true relative to the dollar and derivatives and all of that mess. We have some indications that around the equinox, which is to say the autumnal equinox in September, that we're going to see the denouement of this business about the press. In other words, there may be some relatively dramatic events around then about the press and they're lying and someone fesses up, something along those lines. And then again, we see a buildup around a trigger event on October 26th that takes 10 days, 10 and a half days actually, to build up, and then there's the release component of it beginning on November 5th. And from November 5th onward, the Obama administration is going to be irritable. They'll be like a dog that somebody's been poking in the ribs with a stick. He's going to be ready to bite at anything. And the problem is going to be duality expressing both in the military and geopolitical realm as well as the dollar issue. And there's going to be pressures from all sides, and at that point we may actually end up with a 5-theater war. And the 5 theaters would include Iraq and Afghanistan, which we have going now,
right.
Spread over to Pakistan and include the Israeli attack on Iran, and then simultaneously a response against Israel at the same time that North Korea goes a little crazy. And at that point, our military gets really spread around the planet, and at the same time that we see a huge move relative to the dollar. And that covers all of November, December, January, and February.